In today's video, I am making 3 family dinners on a $20 budget. So let's go shopping. I can't believe I'm living in a time when a pound of beef is about the same price as a dozen eggs. So I'm actually going to use beef in 2 of these recipes. I'm gonna pick up a little over a pound of stew meat or something I can slice up to be stew meat. You'll see how I'm utilizing that in 2 different recipes. The price of a 1-pound package of baby carrots has gone up by about 25 cents at my Walmart. So I'm actually gonna go with just a regular 1 pound of carrots, which are still 98 cents. I'll have to peel these, but that'll be okay. I'm on my way to check out the discount bakery rack because I really want some crusty bread or some toast or something to go along with one of these meals. So I'm gonna see if I can find a good deal on a loaf of bread or a bread item on the discount rack. Well, there is no discount rack today. Normally it's right here in this Walmart. I'll have a look around and see what else we can find. I have a really great hack that I'm going to show you for these muffin mixes. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Since these are meals for a family, I'm working in a family kitchen and I have just some basic seasonings, you know, spices, some basic condiments that I'm going to use, maybe a little bit of flour, the kinds of things that you would expect in a kitchen where cooking is frequent. But I am going to go ahead and grab something today that I'm out of, and that is salt. I have a whole video about how I would stock a pantry with sort of my basics, what I would want to have in just a basic kitchen. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Once you do that, it's just a matter of picking up 1 or 2 things every now and then to restock. So it's time for me to get some more salt today. It's back. It pays to come back and check again. Decided I'd drop by before I leave the store just to see what I can find here. Yay! This is my little haul from Walmart, and believe it or not, I'm going to get 3 delicious dinners for my family of 5 from what you see here. I have my pound of carrots, I have 1 bulb of garlic and 1 small white onion, and then 2 bags of frozen green beans. If you're not on the frozen vegetable bandwagon, I'm telling you, they're a really great value. They are usually frozen and packaged within 24 to 48 hours after being picked, so a really good option if you don't want to buy fresh or it's out of season. I have my stew meat here. This is about 1 1/4 pounds. It's just beef that's already been sliced up, you know, cut up so that you could use it in soups and stews. A lot of times this is chuck roast or maybe round roast or something like that. I have 1 pound of ground turkey. This is 90% lean, so 10% fat. 1 small 8-ounce container of sour cream. Starches, I have a 1 pound bag of medium egg noodles and a 1 pound bag of white rice. I've already talked about picking up the salt, but if you have salt, you don't need to pick that up. Maybe there's something else that you want to stock your spice cabinet with that little bit of wiggle room. 1 little small package of blueberry muffins. This is a blueberry cheesecake flavor. I don't know, it looks like blueberry muffins to me. And then from the discount bakery rack, they had some really good looking rolls on the rack, but I decided to go with these little bread bowls. They're, you know, pretty decent size. They're only 48 cents a piece, and I can still slice these up to make some delicious toast for our dinners. I have my receipt here, and I spent $20.88 on what you saw in the grocery haul. I went 88 cents over budget. One of the reasons for that is the ground turkey. I had intended to pick up 85.15 ground turkey, but they were out of it. So I had to get the 90.10, and the leaner ground turkey was a little bit more expensive by about 60-something cents. So that accounted for a lot of my overage, but $20 and some change. I'm gonna get 3 meals out of this, not too shabby. Today's video is in collaboration with Meals with Maria. And if you are not already following Maria, you're gonna love her. She is also a mom to 3 kids, and her content is very similar to mine. She makes a lot of videos that take place in her kitchen. She gives lots of family meal ideas. She is also making 3 meals for around $20. So if you have similar grocery stores and prices in your area and you combine our 2 videos, you could have almost a week's worth of family dinners for less than $50. I'll leave her video linked in the description description box below. Be sure to go and watch it as soon as you're done watching this one. And if you are coming over from Maria's channel, I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you find something helpful here. It is my mission on my channel to be helpful, kind, and positive in a realistic way. Most of my content takes place right here in my kitchen, giving ideas for feeding families, how I am feeding my family specifically. So again, I hope you find something that is useful and relative to you here. For tonight, I have some beef noodle soup started in the crock pot. I took half of my stew meat, I put it in my crock pot, and I added to that about 5 medium carrots that I peeled and chopped, 1/2 of an onion, which I didn't even bother chopping up. I just peeled it and put the onion in as an entire half, and you'll see what I'm gonna do with that in a little bit. About half of one of my packages of frozen green beans, and 5 or 6 garlic cloves minced. To season mine, I decided to use about a teaspoon or so of thyme, a splash of Worcestershire, a couple of bay leaves, and salt and pepper to taste. I went a little bit easy on the salt because I am adding 6 cups of beef broth, which I make from just like beef bouillon or broth base. If you don't have that, you can just use water and salt. Or if you have some of these little packages of like ramen noodle mix, I usually have a couple of these in my pantry. I've used these in a pinch whenever I don't have any broth base. Since we're getting kind of a late start on this, it's almost 3 o'clock, I actually have that cooking on high, and we'll come back in a little bit and I'll show you how I'm gonna finish it up. I took my half onion out of my crock pot about half an hour ago and let it cool down just a little bit, and then I pureed it and put it back into the soup. And now I'm adding half of my bag of egg noodles, so about 8 ounces of egg noodles. I'm just gonna stir these in and pop the lid back on and let it keep cooking on high until the noodles are done. Should take about 15 to 20 minutes. The only thing that I would have done differently with this soup is give it more time in the slow cooker before I added the noodles. I got started on it a little bit late. Everything is cooked. I just think the beef would be even a little bit more tender if it had gotten 1 more hour on high in the slow cooker, or if I could have started it in the morning and just let it cook on low for like 8 or 9 hours before I add the noodles in. But it's very good, and I have a couple of pieces of nice garlic toast to go along with it. Just a really like yummy, satisfying, like comfort food meal on a winter night here in Oklahoma. Last night we had a delicious dinner. I made my mom's beef stroganoff recipe with a side of green beans and carrots and some blueberry muffins. So before we dive into tonight's dinner, let's rewind and I'll show you what I made last night. I cut up the rest of my stew meat into smaller pieces. So it was half of that package of stew meat, and I just cut it up into smaller pieces. And I dredged it in a mixture of 1/4 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, and about 1/4 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. And now I am just browning that in 2 tablespoons of butter over medium heat. Once this is done browning, it just takes about 3 or 4 minutes. I just want to keep turning it until it gets browned on both sides. It doesn't need to cook all the way through. Once it's done browning, I will add about 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire and 1 tablespoon of ketchup, 2 cups of beef broth. This is actually a recipe that my mom has made for years. It's my brother's favorite meal, one of his favorite meals that we ate when I was growing up. I am using more beef broth than the original recipe calls for because I want it to produce just a little bit more gravy. I'll stir all of those ingredients together and just bring it to a low simmer and let it simmer until the beef is done cooking. I promised you a hack for this little muffin mix, and it's going to produce more muffins and fluffier muffins. So this is how we're gonna do it. I started by taking the 1/2 cup of milk that it calls for, and I added 2 teaspoons of vinegar. This is a substitute for buttermilk. It's gonna turn this into an acid, which we need to activate the extra leavening that we are putting in the mix here in just a second. To my mix, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 cup of flour, and then I'm whisking this together. Yes, I know this is going to produce a less sweet muffin, but personally I think these muffin pouches are pretty sweet on their own, and when we eat these with dinner, we like to eat them with a little pat of butter on them, so we don't mind that they're less sweet. I let my milk and vinegar mixture do its thing for about 5 minutes, so now we're just gonna stir that into the batter here along with an additional 1/4 cup of water. I divided my muffin mixture into 10 greased muffin cups, and I have the oven preheated here to to 450. That is 50 degrees hotter than the muffin mix calls for, because it calls to bake them at 400. I'm going to put them in the oven at 450 for just 3 minutes. 3 minutes, that's it. And then I am going to open the oven for a few seconds to let just a little bit of heat out, and I'm gonna bump the temperature down to 400 for the remainder of the cook time. Probably just about 7 or 8 minutes for them to finish baking. That initial burst of heat helps the muffins to rise quickly, and it will give them that really round muffin top that we see in bakery style muffins. And because I took these steps, instead of getting just 6 kind of flat, dense muffins, I'm going to get 10 fluffy muffins. While that is cooking, I'm going to cook up the rest of my egg noodles. This is half a bag or 8 ounces. And you're probably thinking, that doesn't seem like enough to feed a family of 5. You'd be right, at least in our case. But I also bought rice. I bought a pound of rice, and I'm actually not going to need all of this for the next recipe. So I'm going to cook up the noodles, but I'm also going to cook up about a cup or so of this rice. I actually prefer this stroganoff over rice. My kids like it with noodles, so everybody's going to be happy and fed. Once the beef was done cooking, I stirred in 8 ounces or 1 cup of sour cream to finish up the stroganoff, and you see it here with the noodles. And to go along with this for a veggie side, I peeled and chopped the rest of my carrots and threw those into a skillet with the rest of the bag of green beans that I opened for last night's dinner. And I just added a little bit of minced garlic and some salt and pepper, a few pats of butter, and some water, and I let that simmer in a skillet alongside everything else I was cooking while I was cooking it. So an easy, tasty veggie side, and then I've got a couple of blueberry muffins with butter. So really a pretty hearty meal, especially considering it's a budget meal, and we're looking forward to diving into this. Yum. Tonight I'm going to use the ground turkey and the other package of frozen green beans to make like a teriyaki turkey rice bowl, I think, or something kind of akin to that. Let's see what we can come up with. I had 1 carrot left, so I peeled it and I chopped it into teeny tiny pieces, and also chopped up the other half of my onion, and I have it here in a big skillet sauteing with my pound of ground turkey. I did go ahead and add just a drizzle of oil to this pan because I'm using a leaner turkey than I had originally planned to. Also adding 4 more cloves of minced garlic. We love garlic, so I usually err on the side of a lot. My turkey is all cooked and my veggies are starting to soften up there, so now I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. This is half a cup of soy sauce and half a cup of water. A splash of vinegar because I have it, and why not? Might not even be necessary. And I also feel like a pinch of red pepper flake is in order, but I'm actually out of it in my spice cabinet. I keep forgetting, but I keep these little packets of red pepper that come from like the pizza place. So they come in really handy. I actually haven't had to buy red pepper in a while because I've just been using these up. I bought steam in the bag frozen green beans, so I actually have them in the microwave right now cooking. You could cook those on the stove, or you know, some other way that you know how to cook green beans. And I could just serve those alongside this dish with a little salt and pepper, but I thought instead that once they're done in the microwave, I would actually toss them into the skillet with the turkey mixture while it's simmering for about 7 or 8 minutes. And then at the end, I'll throw in a cornstarch slurry of, you know, a tablespoon of cornstarch with a couple tablespoons of water just to kind of thicken up that sauce. And then it will be ready to serve over the rest of my package of rice, which I already cooked up. Thank you again for watching, and don't forget to check out Maria's video. It's linked in the description box below, and let her know I sent you. Pick out one of these videos to watch next, and I'll see you there.